Well, now here we are at the conclusion of our case study response. Okay. Now, what do we know about conclusions and what should we focus on? First off, conclusions are short and sweet. They're concise. Okay? They sum up the research and the facts. They don't restate it. They sum it up. Okay? So, again, harkening back to that question, how long should a conclusion be? If a conclusion is more than one double-spaced page long, and that's for a huge paper, there's probably something going on here that you've written too much. Okay? So they're tight, as the saying goes. They're short and sweet. Now, what does the conclusion say? In terms of your research and your presentation, the facts, the issue you identified, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there's only one outcome. You, as an MBA, have identified that outcome. So you're going to say, this is the result. Now, that isn't to say you can't leave yourself some wiggle room. There are ways, think about it, there are ways to say it. Wherever you are in the world, you say things like, well, this is what I think. There could be other alternatives, but this is what I think. Okay? There's no requirement that you say it's the only alternative. In other words, I highlighted the. That's me. I say this is the only conclusion. And I put only in small letters. In other words, this is the only one that I see as really being proper. There are others. Okay? For example, stick with the supply chain issue we have. The only outcome that I conclude from it is that our supplier needs to be fired. There are other alternatives. Maybe the supplier is the brother-in-law of the president of the company. That ain't going to happen, right? So, although it's the right conclusion and somebody should say it to the president of the company, you might say the only conclusion that we're able to discern based on research and the facts presented is that this company should be terminated from further connection with our company. However, there might be other alternatives that might include updating software, et cetera, but they are of lesser importance. They won't do what's required. In other words, you say, they're there. I don't think they're right, but they're there. Okay? So leaving wiggle room is okay. Okay? But you want to identify the only outcome or the proper one that you see. This is a good question. You know, sometimes if you're in class, you might ask the professor this. Professors look on things a different way. I believe in the wiggle room. That's my belief. There are some professors who don't like the wiggle room. They want you to say, this is the outcome and tell me why. And you go with it. So you might want to ask the professor as you do things, just so that you have an idea where they're coming from. So what's my practice tip? Okay. You do your research. My feeling is the following, is that you do all your research, and now you get it all laid out in front of you. Write your conclusion first. Write the conclusion first. You notice we bat a lot out of order here. You do your research. Okay, based on this, you sit back and you say to yourself, this is the answer. Write the answer down. Okay? It's going to be later in the paper, but write the answer down. Because normally from whatever you decide the conclusion is, right, it gives you the guidance on what you need for your analysis. So if you decide you got to get rid of the supplier, then obviously you're going to be looking at things and research that focus on that being the solution that other people have adopted. So in the same way that I said at the outset, okay, you may want to identify the issue first. I would suggest before you go write your analysis, write your conclusion so that you know kind of like where you're trying to get to. Think of this as a mystery novel. Jump to the end and find out who did it. And then like Agatha Christie, you can write the rest of it and lead us to that point. Okay? Now that concludes the idea of writing a response to a case study in this series of lectures. One more lecture is going to happen, and that's going to be the sheet that I gave you to fill out. So I'll see you in a few seconds on that one last lecture. Okay?